If someone told you that IoT platforms is no longer a thing, well, send them my way to watch this episode of the IoT show and we'll tell them they were wrong, because Jonas from Akenza and Fabio from Tago are here to attest with their decade of experience in IoT that IoT platforms is a thing. They're solving real problems for the customers that really need them. It's hard to build IoT, and these platforms are here to help these customers get to where they want to be, which is extracting insights from data and value from their IoT sensors. This episode was made possible and is brought to you by IoT Stores, a community of IoT professionals, industry leaders, innovators, having real conversation around IoT a few times a year. If you can attend one of the IoT Stars events, I really recommend it. That's great company and great discussions. And if you like the episode, do not forget to subscribe, to give us a like, to put a comment down here, because that really helps us grow the platforms and bring you more IoT content. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, this is the IoT show. I'm Olivier, your host, and today we have a very nice conversation about where is IoT at in terms of IoT platforms, what are customers looking for in IoT platforms, and so on. For that, we have Jonas and Fabio, both of you. Thanks for coming on the show today. We'll do a round of introductions. So Jonas, who are you? What are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm Jonas. I'm co-founder and co-CEO of Akenza. Akenza is an IoT platform we founded in 2017. So we almost have a decade of experience by now in the topic of IoT platforms. I'm responsible for the business side of our company. So the other half, co-founder, is the guy who's actually running the whole product vision of our company. So I'm the guy who has actually his fingers on the market every day and sees what our customers want and what we need to do to sell what we do successfully.
Okay, and that's exactly what we want today. And I apologize for butchering your first name, Jonas. And that's the American part of me that's doing that. The French part of me is like, oh, boom, what are you doing? Anyway, Fabio, what about you?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Fabio Rosa. I'm the CEO and founder of Tago. So I'm the business with Tago about for 10 years. Tago is a cloud platform. Our goal since the beginning was to build something that would be much easier for anyone to build the IoT solution. So it's a long journey, but we believe we're doing a good job getting a lot of very strong feedback from people. So it's very nice. Others can be more tougher, but we are getting this to the marketplace. We're more than 100 conferences today, and our folks always be to make it easier without compromise how powerful the platform should be to deliver solutions.
Okay, interesting, Fabio. So you said a few things that I'm going to pick up on and that will inform our conversation today. So both of you have been in the industry for some time now, and both of you are still here, meaning that you have customers and customers need your platforms. At a high level, someone watching the episode can think, hey, these are the same kind of things. So they are competitors. And my response to that, but I'll give you a chance to respond. My response to that is that there's enough business for everyone to be happy. And then each of the platforms eventually have their own advantages and preferences from customers. And so, it's not that it's competition, it's co-opetition, right? We're all together here to build an IoT ecosystem that serves customers. But, how is it that we can be in that place where there's no one clear IoT platform out there? Like maybe, some of the hyperscalers have been investing a lot in IoT platforms in the last 15 years. I was part of them when I was at Microsoft. And it doesn't seem that they prevailed. And so I'm curious to have your perspective on how the IoT market has evolved from the IoT platform perspective over the last decade, high level. And so Jonas, you first, tell me, what is your perspective on this evolution of the IoT platforms market?
So I think we answered to the same problem. I think this is why we have a competition, right? I mean, if you look back about 10 years ago, especially in the LPWAN sector where we come from originally, there was a lot of makers building stuff, a lot of people with technical knowledge, not necessarily a lot of IT knowledge. Hardware knowledge, so more focused on how can I measure something out there in the field than business knowledge. trying to combine that or get that data from sensors into the cloud. I think the whole Corona situation as well in the early 20s, pushed that whole self-service approach of those kind of people need to be able to connect their experimental sensor at some time at 11 o'clock in the night, that they need those kind of functionalities that Tago and we offer as well, the kind of self-service, low-code approach of building use cases, maintaining use cases. But a lot of them got stuck in a POC phase, I would say. If you look especially into the early years of what we've been doing, and we still have a ton of those customers. Tago talked about 120 countries before. We're somewhere around 90 countries in the world where people use our product. There is still the guy that tracks one rhino in South Africa and the other guy that tracks a few trees in Chicago. Those kind of, builders, makers that were there and used to do the cases, but never kind of got into the sizes that it's valuable for a hyperscaler. So the numbers never reached kind of commercial levels of an interest of a Microsoft or AWS and so on and so forth. So I think they're moving out of that market because it has very much specialized in certain areas. So you do LPWAN, or you do industry, or you do buildings, and it has matured, but it has not matured like kind of AI would do, in people consuming cloud data, for example, in the millions. It has rather matured in the use case and business cases that are there.
Yeah, overall, I agree. That's similar what I can see by talk with the customers, driving around, attend the conference, and looking for the market. Is very complicated or even complex ecosystem. There are many components that need to be put together. And as you mentioned before, many companies try to do that. And then many of them fail, or they move away from the IoT platform. I think what has been put in place that is helping to succeed is really to give it the full attention to the market and really try to be very lean. I don't think that money helps much. If you don't have a clear strategy, you can burn a lot of money easily. It can be a black hole. So pay attention to what drives innovation, and the value is essential. We, of course, have the features that we believe is very important. Sometimes we remove some features, right? But we keep asking customers directly. We'll look a little bit around to understand what's going on, but more about the customer, what they need to do. So I don't think it's that much different from other technology. Right, it's kind of similar, right? When at the beginning of this technology, look what's going on with AI. We know that only 5% makes any money from AI today. Sorry, the other 95%, they don't really make money, right? So it's very hard. But if you keep lean, you keep focused on customer, I think that is the formula. So yeah, many companies will. Have been changing their strategy. Big guys, big companies, they don't offer IoT, but sometimes they just change a little bit. IoT is still there, and frankly, be there pretty sure forever. Maybe the eye is going to be removed, but always you're going to have need to connect things.
Yeah, no, that's interesting what you're saying. They need to connect things, but they also need to track the value out of the data coming from these things, right? This is really where the value is and where they are, what they're looking for. So, Jonas, you were saying that the customers are very often coming more from the hardware side of things, or that used to be what the IoT world was about, more about the makers, the builders, the OEMs building these devices and trying to figure out what's the best platform for connecting and managing my devices, right? But is it fair to say that the customers of IoT platforms have changed as well? Because we see more companies who are looking at the final solution, not at the OEMs, at the device itself. They're looking at the final solution or problems of their own they're trying to solve through IoT, and they find IoT and the device side of things hard because some of them are not coming from the device side of things. They might be coming from, things that are more related to warehouse management or to building management. And then suddenly they know that they need to equip their buildings with sensors, or their engines, machines, trucks with trackers or whatnot. So do you see that as well, Jonas, on your side, where the type of customers have evolved, and the problem they're trying to solve have evolved as well? It's no longer just about connecting devices. It's also and mostly about the data, the insights, and so forth.
Absolutely. We totally evolve in that direction of let's call it data normalization, data analysis, data ownership, all those kind of questions are on the table. We see also this shift from makers, that used to build kind of sensors, to enterprises that are actually applying those kind of things that we do. And I see I mentioned data ownership. I see a lot of the topic being data ownership. So people are much more aware, and that's my feeling, at least 2025, people are much more aware of that they need to own the data. So they don't even care about the source of the data necessarily. So it might be a sensor in IoT, it might be in a building, a BMS system where you get the data out. It might be some kind of let's call it proprietary setup that they have in some place, and this data needs to be the same as in the next place. But they know that they need to control the data. We do a lot of smart building cases, for example, and we see that it used to be a lot of plug and play. So people would sell them black boxes of IoT, and went bankrupt afterwards, and they didn't know what to do with the sensors. Facility management companies used to sell services like smart cleaning, putting sensors into buildings of customers, and then having a lock-in. And now you see much more that they go in a strategic direction. So the enterprise in a strategic direction of owning that own data. So providing the data, for example, to end consumers, IoT data to end consumers. Normalizing different sets of hardware, as I said, basically taking in situ sensors that are already in place, and normalizing that with other products, or comparing that with other products that are on the market. I think that's a lot of the maturity that you see that's moving ahead. So it has gone from that maker and hardware piece to much more of a data piece. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And so, Fabio, on your side, tell me what is the toughest problem or the most common problem customers come to you with and say, "Hey, I need someone to help me with that part of the problem." So, what is it for you, Fabio?
Yeah, I think it's an evolution, right? That's what you see. It's very normal at the beginning. People really look for the sensor. So sometimes we're saying, "Oh, now things are changing." It's kind of evolution, and frankly, in our experience, you need to respect that, right? It takes time for companies to deliver the sensor, years and years, and have the right price. Right? So answer your question about what they are looking for us at least is a lot about customization. They really need to customize. And why they need to do that? Because I think they're spending more time respecting their internal process, right? They don't want something out of the box. I talk about mainly mid-sized enterprise version, where they read something that is going to help them, but it's not going to be so hard for their employees or their users to use. So customization is very important. Of course, it's not only the dashboard, the customization, what's very important, visualization, but also the integration is still a customization. So we need to have great APIs, great API documentations, great SDK. If we don't do this, in my opinion, we're going to fail. So they need to integrate it for the system, because sometimes they need what we deliver as a platform to connect the device, run analytics and other things, but they don't want, in fact, should not change much their process sometimes. For example, if you use an SAP system or something, that's already there, do you want to change that? If you have to, that's fine, but it can be very complex. So normally they ask something like, "Hey, we want to have the benefit of IoT. You don't want to change much." Of course, we used to say, "Yeah, things are going to need to change," but you try to reduce that by adding some customization.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely aligns with the paradigm shift that we're seeing from building everything yourself. Then the pendulum went all the way up to buying black boxes that were doing everything, SaaS model, whatever, to something in between, which is more about buy and integrate, right? And then the need for flexibility and customization definitely fit that. Do you think, Jonas, that's because IoT is very complicated, or is there another factor for these companies to not build things on their own? Because at the end of the day, you could think, okay, device connectivity, you can restrict things to like MQTT only, and I just use one set of certs, and you could consider things not to be too hard and try yourself still today. Do you think customers are lacking skills in that domain, don't want to skill up, or don't have time? Are things going faster that they don't have time and decide that it's going to cost me less money to buy this and integrate this in the next 6 months versus hiring an old R&D team and do that in 2 years, but still own the thing, but not worth it, right? Is it more of that?
I just lately had a conversation with the management of a major company. They put down 20 FTEs for the next 2 years to build their own thing. We built it in 3 weeks. So, we're not talking 6 months. We showed them the POC after 3 weeks. And I mean, that's the kind of pressure that they feel, we are in competition. They're in competition. The other guys are getting smart. They're not getting smart, and they're not waiting for 2 years. I think that's one of the factors of, buy versus build, where you're much faster with the products that we have in place. And I mean, they have evolved as well. They've been R&D and developed for years, So basically, we did the last decade. Both of us did the last decade what they still have to learn internally. They don't have the skills, they don't have the resources, or they pay more for the resources to do those kind of things. And I think that's pretty relevant in today's market. And especially, I'm coming back to the AI topic. They want to do AI now, and they notice they don't have the data for it. So you don't have any physical data for your AI model. Okay, what do? You need to do IoT first before you can do AI. You're under pressure to do AI. So it's better, to kind of hand that whole IoT topic off to someone who knows how to do it and focus on your agentic model or whatever you have. I think that's the next step on top of it, the next pressure piece that's there as well.
Yeah. There's something to say about the fact that AI might go in the same direction as well at some point, right? Creating the models and customizing them and so forth might become something where you just go out and say, hey, I'm going to use that agent from them here and integrate that into my solution. I think it's already getting there really fast with agentic AI, and all the options are out there. Customers do realize pretty fast that they want AI, but that they can't do that on their own, or at least not the entirety of it, right? And actually, in the same vein, there are some features in your guys' both Akenza and Tago. You have features that simplify the customization with low code, no code, things that, I would say, I make the joke like someone from marketing could create their own dashboards. They don't need to have a developer to build that for them. Is it a feature that is actually used? Are this kind of customization through no code, low code things that you guys are investing in, or the platforms, so that customers can leverage them? Or is it just marketing? Hey, I have that like the other ones, but no one really uses it. Fabio.
We don't advocate much about no code. Low code, yes. I mean, the point is make it easier, right? We just don't do that much because what we see is your point about the marketing guy design by themselves is really our goal. We want them to do that together, but it takes a while, right? There are so many components to put together. So what we see, right? What we see today is that those that, again, add more intelligence, and sorry, it demands a little bit code here and there, at least in our experience, right? AI is helping. We use internally AI, and we are deploying this ability to our customers to use AI like a prompt. You're going to have a limitation. It takes time for the model to be really robust, so you can really have a very reliable call to someone, say, hey, there is a gas leak here, right? You don't want to screw with that. So you really need to use things that are really well tested. It takes some time, but that is the part that we see more value. Really, get it easier for people to use. That's definitely. But there is always something that people want to get, because they want to get the maximum of the platform. So we are bridging this gap between make ease and really powerful, because frankly, people want both. And normally, they need to make the decision. Okay, would you go to AWS, very low level, and do everything by myself and hire 20 guys, or I'm going to do something very simple? We are reducing this gap, so they don't need to make the decision. But sometimes it's really about, in our opinion, about what do they want to control? Do they want to have the infrastructure on their hands because it makes sense? Sometimes I may not like it, but it may make sense. Yeah, they want to own everything. They want to spend a lot of money because that is very strategical for that. But in many cases, there is no need for that. In many cases, yeah, use what you deliver is going to cover your bases. You'll be updated every time you need and so on.
We have invested heavily in self-service and low-code, code features over the last few years. I'm not sure if it's needed that much as we've done, or what we notice is kind of more a need for managed services by now, especially if you talk about enterprises. So do they have the resources that are actually running those things on your platform? On the other hand, guys with technical resources will probably just do everything over the API. So all the functionalities are also available over the API, and they build their own custom stuff on top of it. What I've noticed is it helps in maintenance. So especially large device fleets, you have a lot of people with not that much technical knowledge that can look at the red button that says online, offline, or battery level low, all those kind of things. So in device management, it helps a lot to have those features. In business applications, we have a rule engine that's no code. So that helps people to set up alarms very easily. So the facility management guy with no IoT knowledge, no IT knowledge, can, with very little education, be educated to set up an alarm if a temperature goes too high or whatever. Those kind of things, they work well. The question is, how far do they scale? So how far, we're still talking about fleets of thousands of 100,000 of devices, right? How far are people actually going with those kind of self-service cases, and where do they need help? I still see a lot of lack of resources on that. So especially with enterprise, as I said, managed services are more kind of what they expect. So they have the ability to look into the platform, do everything on their own, but actually they want them managed and serviced.
That makes sense. There is that begs a question, or makes me think about one thing that I hear again and again, especially with the development of different options in the realm of IoT platforms. Customers are building a product, a solution, or integrating into their processes something that is very often critical to their own business, and so they're making a bet on a platform. And so this platform has to be around for the next 10, 20 years, right? And so how do you perceive customers' reaction to you? You guys are rather small companies, like few employees compared to your customers very often, right? Or much bigger than you are. And they decide not to build themselves, because one of the reasons I think for these companies to build themselves is to own the entire stack and not to be dependent on some company disappearing and a service disappearing and for a critical part of their business to be gone. So now they're coming back to the conversation around, we're going to buy this service, but you guys are small companies. What are the insurances? How do customer approach? Do they ask the question about, are you guys going to be around? Is it all open source? Can I can customize, but how much of that do I own? Fabio, what is your experience with that?
Yeah, at the beginning, frankly, like 10 years ago, that was a more common question for us. Nothing much, really, but from time to time, people asking that, right? Nowadays, rarely I heard about that, really, right? It doesn't mean that they're not thinking, but rarely they ask, because probably they go to the website, they see that you have a lot of things, you have a lot of use cases, were around for many years, more than maybe they were around sometimes, right? Even big organization. The organization may be there in the next 20, 50 years, but they think, will they, with this department, be around? And sometimes they don't. So, I worked before for a big organization, and I know there is this feeling sometimes that if you bring internally, you control everything, you are fine. Sometimes the opposite. I think the very good manager or leader of your other organization had this understanding. Yeah, we may need the right partner, right? Let's do our due diligence. Let's understand. And why not use this one? Then, of course, you want to keep the data. We have disaster recovery. We can send the data to them in real time. We're going to have special contracts with them. If somebody acquires us, what's going to happen, so on. So we have this provision when people ask. It gives more confidence for them and for their leadership. But frankly, I haven't heard that much directly. I think because there are more consolidation today, or then also because I think they are thinking about what they really want to control. It's not everything because no companies control everything, right? There are something that doesn't make sense to control, but they need to have a plan. They need to understand who owns what and so on. And they have been doing that.
I think the hyperscalers have helped us a lot in that case. Google and Microsoft basically abolishing their IoT programs has been good for all of us, because basically if the big hyperscalers are not continuing with that product as such, why would you make a approach with them, right? I mean, so there's those big banks, for example, that we work with as customers, that have 10,000 Indians no IT people that they can build something, make. And they come back because I said, yeah, well, Microsoft has canceled that service, so we can as well buy your product. The risk is about the same as if we go with a hyperscaler that doesn't continue using the services. So I think that it's been good for us, actually. And otherwise, I agree with Fabio on the topic of, future proofing is something you write in the contract and you solve in the contract. What happens with my data in the future? We're based on microservices. So basically, you can rebuild that product based on microservices if you want to. So we have some clauses in the contract that works pretty well.
Interesting.
But I still think it's a big risk in the sense of it's a very strategic decision, still very high up in companies. Do I buy an IoT platform, and do I buy an IoT platform from a small company or not? And that makes very long sales cycles, which is not commercial.
I don't think that's only for big companies, right? I think even startups, you have startups which you have the same situation, right? That is fundamental. So that's a very important decision. Should they work with others or hire two guys that will be super expensive? Maybe that's the right thing to do. They have a pressure from investors, VC, right? So they need to make sure that it moves forward. And you know what happens sometimes? They say, okay, let's start with you. When they scale, I'm going to have my team. So our job is, let's see if you need your team, right? And many times they don't need it. They continue first as they succeed, they grow, they continue, and they say, okay, that's a good decision, right? If you really keep the service very high quality and give opportunity for them really to understand how really painful can be to take care about all the infrastructure that we do, they will keep growing with us.
Yeah. I have a slightly different perspective on the hyperscalers, but I'll come back to that. But to your point, Fabio, right now, my feeling is that it's more a matter of ecosystem. These customers, whether they are a startup or a mid-sized company, they're not buying a product from you or service. They're establishing a partnership with you, right? Because if they are successful, you are. If you're successful, they can continue having the product, right? And so it's more of this, and I had this sentiment, at the Things conference where I'm talking to people. They're not looking for, hey, tell me your service, where's your contract? They want to make sure you're still there, and there's going to be indemnification if you're not there. They're not there. They're just like, okay, how solid is your platform? How's it built? Okay, I want to bet my product on this. Let's go together, because if I win, it's going to be numbers, you win, right? And so that's something that I've seen is more present and relevant. And to your point, Jonas, about the hyperscalers, there's one thing I would like to correct in there. I know for a fact Microsoft has not dropped their IoT services. They've been pretty silent in the last few years. Google has dropped their IoT core service, but Microsoft and AWS are still alive and kicking there, even like investing in there, but in ways that are different from the past. They're not here talking about an IoT platform. They're talking more about, both of them, about the value in the data, and Microsoft for sure is leaning towards AI and data pipelines and so on. So the device management, connectivity, and so on is something that they're saying, hey, go talk to our partners. We have things there. They're still around, but this is not their core interest. Well, at least that's my perspective. But to your point, perception is super important, and the fact that big hyperscalers are putting their focus on the data pipeline or the bigger customers more often. They don't really care about the smaller ones that much, or don't show a lot of love there. And they are not here very much for establishing that partnership. They're selling services, and customers going to them, they have this warranty. Oh, it's a big name. They're going to be around for some time, and there's indemnification if they drop it. But it's not a partner. It's a vendor. And for some customers, it's fine. That's what they're looking for. But I'm seeing more and more, IoT customers looking for partnerships. They're looking for, working hand in hand with other companies. And that's my personal take. Like, anyone wants to bounce on this one? Fabio, are you on the same page?
Yeah, one thing is that about 85% of our customers design the application by themselves, right? And a lot of them don't talk to us, right? So why they don't? They're just busy, and we just want to make sure they're good. And they reply sometimes, they no, we are good. Don't need to talk, right? So I think we're moving. You can see, and of course, I just said, we're a much smaller company here compared with, let's say, AWS or Microsoft, right? Huge difference. Right? But I think as we grow, in terms not only the size, but even the tools, in a sense, that can cover more things, right? It's actually reduces the gap from one side, from the perspective. They start to see, okay, I can use that because, yeah, by the way, you're running on top of AWS, like we are. It's not a secret, right? Okay, they can run if they what to do. They know where the data is and so on. But they design by themselves. That's a big challenge. We love talking to everyone, but sometimes it's just not necessary. And they want to have privacy and they continue doing what they are doing today.
My feeling is definitely the partnership thing that you say is absolutely key. We have amassed a lot of knowledge. We've learned a lot about hardware, connectivity, platform, and applications, all those kind of things over the last few years. And I think that's definitely something people are buying, not in the sense of they're buying a platform and licenses from a platform, but what they also buy is that services and the knowledge that we have internally and that we call enablement for them that makes their things faster. Yeah, definitely. The ecosystem and the value of the ecosystem that grows and the partnerships, that's definitely something that has a lot of leverage, I think.
Now, before I let you both go, I want to bring the conversation with a couple of questions on AI per se, right? So AI, we see like is all the buzz. There's lots of value potentially in it. IoT would be providing data to AI models for them to inference whatever. There's also a big trend to optimize AI to be run at the edge, bringing AI on premises so you guarantee latency, performance, you guarantee privacy for the data. I have two questions for you. We'll start with you, Jonas. Do you see edge AI becoming something that customers are asking for? Say, hey, I want to have AI down there, but I want to understand how I can manage the host, how I can make sure that I can update my models remotely and things like that. And the other question is, how do you think we IoT practitioners can help the world of AI not reproducing or make the same mistakes we did as IoT practitioners? AI is going super fast in many ways. Can we make sure edge AI is successful as IoT guys? And what are the things we should be careful about?
On the first topic, really, I have no insights into that. On edge AI topics, hasn't been on a map. We've been doing quite some R&D in AI lately with that IoT data. We still think, you have kind of raw data. That's a big topic. So you have raw IoT data coming into the platform. We're learning a lot about adding metadata to it because it needs to be kind of put into a situation. So you have a temperature value that comes in that needs to be put into a schema of location, for example, so it can be used by AI. We've also set up an AI assistant that some of our customers are using in a beta version so far. We're interweaving AI in those kind of self-service things. So one of the projects we're doing in the moment is we do data normalization or try to do data normalizations with AI on the platform for different sensor providers, those kind of things. I think it's coming very quick, and I think there's going to be a big need. I'm not sure how we can help them not making the same mistakes. As Fabio said, somewhere at the beginning, they're all playing around that they don't know how to make money yet. That's definitely the case. But I think we need to learn, and we need to learn how to use that. It will be part of the product. So it will not be only part of the IoT platform, but kind of the services that we provide. AI is definitely going to be a part of that in the next few years.
Yeah, what the edge for us is, we run AI on the edge. It's really about a device that's going to send some specific information for us that can keep privacy. For example, take a picture of someone and just say, hey, this is John, right? Or it's not John, it's just one person or 5 people there. So send it for us. This is already in the market, right? It's going to increase, yes, but reality is that there are many basic things like certificate, security things that still need to be done in the device, right? It's not that's not secure today, but there are, I guarantee you, many devices up there that don't have the minimum security, right? You can talk about the AI stuff, great, right? But the legacy products. So, and about the AI, yeah, what can we share that we learn with IoT? I agree that is the, need to respect and have a clear, a good expectation where you're going to put your money. Because, I don't compare IoT with AI. I compare more AI with computers during the 80s, right? Many people don't know that. I mean, because just very young, but the reality is that it took decades to really get money in a differentiation way from the computer. It's not like they created this Apple and, I have an Apple, now I'm going to make a lot of money. It didn't happen. It took a lot of time. And here, I think it's the same thing for AI. Think about that. Everybody's going to have access to this model. Just pay, right? And the challenge, people not to discuss even how to get the value, is really how to get the differentiation. That's the big challenge. And that's what the discussion we're having with IoT now. How you differentiate yourself from others, right? To keep everything very simple, low barriers, nice. But anybody can do that. Remember maybe your time when people had BlackBerry, right? In 2009, 2007, they had BlackBerry. It could be very quick, but at the end of the day, everybody has BlackBerry or has. Now everybody has an iPhone. What's the competitive advantage? And for me, AI is the same thing, right? Everybody's going to have access. So how you create a differentiation and keep this competitive advantage is the big thing. So going to the IoT now, I think we're in this phase. I think people are really more mature and able to at least think and plan better how to differentiate themselves and create competitive advantage. It's very hard, but that's what at least our customer, when they talk to us, is about that. Right? It's not about implement. It's not about sensor, cloud, security. Yeah. We need to have all of these. That's fine. That's an important question. But at the end of the day, it's how they're going to differentiate and make money so they can continue to grow.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you both. Before we part ways, Jonas, can you tell the audience here how can they find you and what should they expect when they get on the Akenza website?
So you can find us under www.akenza.io. There's actually a 30-day free trial on the platform. I said before, it's full self-service, so you can just start, play around, do whatever you want, and otherwise just send us an email if you have any questions. It was very nice to be here, and thanks for taking the time.
Jonas. What about you, Fabio? Where can they find you?
Yeah, go to our website, tago.io. We have the free plan. It's free forever. It's just for 10 years. You can, keep the plan that have 5 devices, 5 dashboards, and get, frankly, most of the features to play around. And if you have a question, have the community and our support. We love to help people. So if you have any question, please just contact. I have a lot of buttons in the websites to help you.
Awesome. Thank you both for your time today. And everyone, thanks for tuning in. Bye.